Welcome to today's episode of Road to 50 Million. I had a fun thing I wanted to talk about. A few weeks ago, I did a video on experience more deeply, and I use the words I use together. And today there's two words, strive joyously. And before that, even there was one, dare greatly. Now that's three words, phrases I use together: dare greatly, experience deeply, and strive joyously. Dare greatly, we talked about everyone that dares greatly fails greatly, and that's okay because the act of daring is part of life. It's learning new things and you're discovering stuff like this person imaginarily walking into the sunset doing whatever difficult thing that is. They're daring greatly. And we can live our lives daring in a small way or not daring at all because we're conditioned to or we choose to. My experience is that shrivels up the experience of life and it's less fun, less rewarding, less powerful, and fill in all the blanks. So when I work with someone who comes and they say, I'm tired of living in mediocrity, I'm tired of having less life than I know I could have, one of the first answers is dare more greatly. And people often, I used to dare not greatly because I was afraid I would fail. I was afraid that I would try hard, it would fail, and then I'd get laughed at or feel bad or all the rest. You felt that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's not an answer to a fulfilling and successful life because at the end, you're not going to remember the times you got laughed at. You're going to remember the times you didn't try. So, as an idea, the first thought is to dare greatly. The next piece that goes after that is experience deeply, and that includes the things that don't go well. Experience deeply. Now, I had an amazing podcast interview later today, and I'm going to refer to it several times on this episode. And I love to do these episodes. I'm doing them every day, you notice. Today's number, well, I don't know, probably number 67 or 68. I'm going to do hundreds of them because this is for my whole year till October 14th this year of A Road to 50 Million. And so this podcast guest I had was from Australia, and we were talking about. She said, I hate those people. Not doesn't hate the people actually, hates it when people act like they're happy all the time. Dee 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 dee. And she said, because that's so fake. And at the same time, we're talking about creating an ultimate life, which is every day having a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. We're talking here about creating income and impact with your gifts and talents. So, if I'm not having a happy life every day, how can that be the ultimate life? And the answer is the ultimate life isn't being happy and things going good all the time. It is partly experiencing the full range of emotion with all the power and agony and stress and strain. She referred to a couple of incidents in the last 18 months for her where she called them dark nights of the soul, where she felt like, oh, I'm not going to make it. And she only half jokingly said, she said, okay, God, I'm ready for you to take me home. And she didn't go and she stayed and now she's past them. That is experiencing deeply. And so as you discover and serve with your gifts, that's the purpose. Learn to create income and impact. Income if you want a business, impact either way with your gifts and talents. And one powerful and certain way to do that is to experience fully and deeply. Don't hide. If it hurts, allow it to hurt. Experience that. And then say, what do I learn? What refinement is brought into my soul and experience and expression and learning and humanness because I've experienced this deeply. And so when I talk all the time about your ultimate life, and if you're not listening to my podcast, Your Ultimate Life, I would invite you right here, right now. Your Ultimate Life. I've got 750 episodes, and we're moving now past that, moving on toward 800. that are all about helping you achieve each day a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. And that doesn't mean no pain, no feet, none of that. It means the full range of experience, which is experienced deeply. Now, the third part of that triumvirate or triune or whatever, Trinity, I guess. Dare greatly, experience deeply. And the last one is today, strive joyously. And it might sound to you like those are opposites, that they shouldn't be, that striving is somehow mutually exclusive of joy. And that's not true at all. And here's a secret. It took me a long time to understand this. Even when things aren't going like I want, and I'm striving to do something, I can be joyous in the striving, joyous in the effort to get there, in the thinking, in the work, in the contemplation, even in the failure, the lessons from the failure. So striving and joyously are not words that are awkward together at all. They're words that are powerfully matched. They're words that are powerfully joined, because a life lived with no goal is essentially aimless. And I'm not saying you couldn't have fun or won't have fun aimlessly doing whatever, but I promise you, like the sun shines in Phoenix, and believe me, I lived there through 22 summers. The sun shines in Phoenix. I was talking to her the other day, or this gal this morning, and I told her Phoenix has 330 days of sunshine a year. At least that's what they brag about, the Valley of the Sun. But anyway, I can promise you that a life spent striving for something that's important to your soul is way more rewarding than just wandering around doing whatever shows up. So striving is a natural condition, a yearning that we all have to do more, to be more. Now, sometimes we get locked up in the idea that the striving has to be for these external goals. The striving has to be for money, recognition, power, fame, these external markers that somebody else has said is important. That will not serve you well. The striving that our soul feels is to find your gifts. It's to serve with your gifts. It's to love and lift those around you. That's the striving we naturally feel that comes from our divine heritage. So striving in that sense is powerful, and the conflict comes when we feel like we're striving in those ways and somehow we don't measure up to that external nonsense. So this podcast guest this morning was talking about that, and she had, earlier in her life, she was in a relationship where her partner was really just focused on the next things, and she said it was exhausting, one day, 1 hour, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year to the next. And it was soul draining. And she said now, ending that situation and living a different way completely, she said, I have a lot less money. I have a lot less of those external things, but my soul is satisfied. My heart is happy. And she talked about, she lives somewhere in Australia, and I forgot what city she's in, but she's near a beach. So she said, sometimes I walk my dog on the beach, and I walk him on the beach whether it's 36 or 38 degrees, and that's Celsius. 35 is 95 Fahrenheit, for those of you that are Fahrenheiters like I was. I'm in Canada now, so I'm a Celsiuser. But 35 is 95, and 36 is 97. 37 is, 99. And she said it's very humid there sometimes, and so that can be very oppressive. So she said, I walk on the beach whether it's 36 and miserable or it's 9 degrees and blowing a gale. And she said it with a very beautiful Australian accent, which I tried to imitate and did very poorly. And she said, and she was just beside herself in the effort, the energetic effort to express the gratitude that she felt at being able to do that in good weather, in rough weather, but just to have that expression of gratitude with the dog, experiencing the sand and the nature and everything there at that moment. So striving joyously, today's thought isn't about uh, meeting some external markers in wealth or in notoriety or in power or being better than somebody else. That isn't what I mean. Striving in those things often doesn't lead to joy. But if you're striving to maximize your soul, if you're striving to discover the gifts that you have, if you're striving to serve and love those around you, that is striving joyously. And so I wanted to invite you to do this. You have divine gifts. I know it and you know it. I don't know what stage you are in developing those gifts or discovering them and then developing them and serving with them. By serving, I mean helping those around you, encouraging people, assisting them perhaps physically or spiritually or mentally, or blessing them with some piece of knowledge that you have. It's become more and more obvious to me as the years go by how many pieces of skill you and we develop. So now at this stage in my life, I play the piano really well. I know how to do arrangements. I direct choirs. I write music. I can do all kinds of stuff in the recording studio. And that's all just with music. And I've directed tons of choirs. So that is a way I can serve with my gifts. I've sung in choir. So all that's just music. Another thing that I have that I love having is the voice that I have. Now, it's funny because I hear this a lot. And you can make out of this whatever you want. But the gal that I had as a guest this morning, she said to me, "Oh, wow, your voice." And she talked about my voice, the sound of it, the cadence, my ability to use expression and everything. And I said to her, "Yes, I know it's a gift that I have and I love it. And I love being able to encourage you and everybody else." And that isn't the first time I've heard it. I've heard it maybe hundreds of times now. And so I don't know what your gifts are. I do know what mine are, and I know because I've sought them out. And in seeking them out, I've also found ways to serve with them, to lift, to bless, to love, to encourage. And this road to 50 million is all about helping you. How can I help you discover and serve with your gifts? How can I help you create income and impact with your gifts? If you want to. Now, obviously, people live their whole lives and don't. But my mission is to help 50 million people this year to discover and to serve with their gifts. Make income, make impact, feel good, strive joyously. And so the words striving and joyously go well together. And they go well together when you're striving to do good, when you're striving to serve with your gifts and impact, when you're striving to love even people you don't know. I heard a little piece of a podcast between BNS, as the initials of a fellow in India, and Steve Hardison, who's a coach, who's a friend of mine, and he's going to Mumbai next month to talk at an event with some other folks, the Being event, and it's all about a particular book about Steve, and you may or may not know, depending on what groups you're in and what circles you travel in. And if you'd like to know, reach out and I'll tell you what it is. It's a book about being. But here is the reason I talk about it. Because on the podcast this morning, or the interview, Steve was talking about every single thing comes from who we're being in the world. Who we're being comes from the thoughts we repeatedly entertain, the input that we readily and repeatedly accept. It crafts our being. So if I believe all the time people telling me I'm not good enough, then I am that I'm not good enough. If, on the other hand, I say, I can fix that, and that's my attitude, then I have become, I am that I can fix that, whatever that is. And so the being, our presence, our energetic stance, the stance is the word that I love to use because I did martial arts for years, the stance that you have about your daily activities in your life is what creates your success or failure. It's what defines your experience. And by success or failure, I don't mean things work exactly like you want or don't. I'm talking about the success of life, which is our growth and development. See, the purpose of life isn't to make a bunch of money and be cool. The purpose of life is our own growth and development. So striving joyously makes perfect sense. Now, I'm here in this road to 50 million to help you discover your gifts, to help you serve with them, create income, create impact, have a life that you love every day, even though it encompasses the full range of emotion. Sad things, happy things, hard things, easy things, hurtful things, growing things. Not to repress any of it, but experience it fully and let it teach you and soften you and nurture you and grow your heart and your capacity. All those things will make your life richer and more full and make you able to live in more joy every single day, every single hour. And striving joyously is the conclusion of the trilogy. Dare greatly, experience deeply, and strive joyously makes perfect sense. I send you every ounce, every thought, every breath of encouragement. Be something on purpose. Make a choice about who you're being. Love yourself. And if I can help you, either by helping you discover and serve with your gifts, or by giving you a platform and an opportunity to spread your message, then reach out to me. I have rich and big stages and platforms for you to share your message. I'd love to help you. We'll see you tomorrow on the road to 50 million.